Welcome to my home garden. Today I'm going to be going through some of the problems you could experience with tomatoes and how you can remedy them. If you've not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you can please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips from my home garden, my home kitchen and also my allotment. So one of the things I would say is essential is to have a really good book, and I've had this one for years. It's quite an old book, but you can still buy it on Amazon. It's the Vegetable and Herb Expert. I will put a link in the description because it obviously covers tomatoes quite in depth and also a lot of other plants, which you'll find quite useful. So one of the issues are potato blight, which tomatoes get too. So I have got a separate video for that, and I do recommend that you watch it. But the main key thing is blight happens when you get wet, humid weather, which we've had a lot of this year. And the first signs of it are browning of the leaves. Now, if you see any leaves that are browning, take them off immediately. If you've got it on the stems, it's probably gone too far. And I had that. I had one plant that had quite a lot of brown on it. So I just pulled the whole lot out because I was concerned it was going to spread to the rest of my tomatoes. And at the moment, they're okay, and I removed any leaves on the other tomatoes that I was even slightly hesitant about, just to err on the side of caution. So if your leaves are yellow, that's a magnesium deficiency, and it means you need to feed them. Now I use a combination of things. I use a Comfrey Feed, which I make myself, which I'll put a link so you can watch that too. Also Big Tom is really good, and I will put a link in the description to get that. And also Epsom salts. I put a tablespoon below the base of the plant. So there's lots of different ways you can use this on your plants, but the way I do it in the simplest way is just a tablespoon, and I just shake it at the base of the plant. It adds magnesium to the plant, and it also really improves the flavour. I started doing this a few years ago, and I couldn't believe the difference it made to the flavour of my tomatoes. Now I do alternate each week with which one I do. So one week I'll do Epsom salts, another week I'll do tomato feed, another week I'll do Comfrey. So I kind of alternate what I'm doing, but you don't have to do it like that. You can just choose one thing. So if we look at some of the others, because guess what, I can't remember all the diseases that we have. I roughly know what they are, but it's best to have a good reference book. So there are other ones like leaf roll. If you see your leaves rolling in, as you can see on that picture there, that just means fluctuation in temperatures. So that's quite common, as is the yellowing of the leaves, and unfortunately the tomato or potato blight is the same this year. So you might see that. There's other diseases in there, but they're not ones that I personally see myself that often. Something else that's really important, especially if they're in pots, is that you water regularly. And on a hot day like this, you probably will have to water twice a day. Mine are in the ground, so I would only water mine once a day, but if they're in pots, you really need to keep a good eye, because that can cause problems in itself. I mean, obviously the plant could just die, but it affects the production of the tomatoes. One of the things, especially on larger tomatoes, is something called blossom end rot, where you get like a dark black patch at the bottom of the plant where it basically needs to be watered more. That happens more often with the larger tomatoes, which is why I often stick to growing smaller tomatoes, because it's less likely to happen. Another common thing I see is something called blossom drop, where the actual whole blossom drops off at the knuckle. So again, same thing, you need to be watering regularly. And dry set, similar thing, the tomato never forms, so it stops in a tiny little tomato and it never properly fills out. And something else called split fruit. Now that more happens when you get excessive amounts of rain towards the end of the season and they start to split. So you can't do too much about that, but it happens. But provided you pick them off quite quickly, with split fruit, you still can eat them, so they're still perfectly okay. So I really hope that's helped you all. And if there's anything I haven't covered or anything you're not sure about, please don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll do our best to help you.